Welcome to Happy Life Results Book Group.
Hey everybody.
Nice to see you here. We're in a section called Perspective and Instinctive Response. And it's in Hero Concept number 1, the hero.
The lens.
Yep, today we're doing number 1, which is, so there's 1, 2, 3, well, yeah. So there are a bunch of sections under the heading Perspective and Instinctive Response. This is just number 1. All right. If you're standing at a window and a speeding car comes hurtling headlong toward the glass, do you panic, freeze, or leap to the side? If there is no time to evaluate, you will fall back on automatic or subconscious behavior. This is what happens in split-second decisions when our actions presume a specific view of the oncoming threat. If you change your view of the threat or the instinctive tendency, you can reprogram or bypass the automatic response. If you keep the same view, then your actions will largely depend on how you have trained your instinctive responses. If you live on autopilot much of the time, your programming is basically your life. Much of that training may have happened at a young age. This includes training the limbic system, which triggers emotional and physical signals in our body. That was a lot. Oh, this is good. Okay, so think about the car hurtling towards you, and we're going to actually talk about different ways to view this in the future videos. Yeah, in a couple days we're going to talk more about this, so keep that in your mind, that view of if you feel like something is going to impact you negatively and you have very little time to react, your reaction will be different than if you have a lot of time to respond, or if you don't feel like the threat is very severe.
Yeah, if it wasn't a car, if it were a big cotton candy coming towards you, you probably have a very different response than if it's a car.
Yeah. Yeah, a car, that's pretty severe.
Yeah.
You panic, freeze, or leap to the side. So if there's no time, if it's a split-second decision, you're going to rely on your instinctive responses. And so that's what we said. If you keep the same view, then your actions will largely depend on how you have trained your instinctive responses. So, and then the converse is that's the same. That's another example. If you live on autopilot, then programming is basically your life. So autopilot, meaning that you've programmed instinctive responses that kind of play out without your intervention consciously.
Yep.
And we want to use autopilot for the best use possible, but whenever autopilot is taking you somewhere you don't want to go, then that's when you need to inspect it and look.
So, and that's where you can either change the way you're viewing things, the lens, shift the lens, or you can reprogram your automatic responses as well. So there are two different ways that you can fix.
So can you give us some examples of how you would do that?
Changing the automatic response? Okay, so one example, I used to clench my jaw and when I would exercise or other things, and so I found out that it was not good for my jaw to clench it. It's not good for my teeth to clench it. And when I would get in the shower and turn it on when it was cold, my automatic response, I didn't even think about it, was to clench my teeth. And then I realized I wasn't supposed to be clenching my teeth. And so then instead of thinking of it as cold water, which then I would clench my teeth, so there are two different ways.
Yeah, two.
You could think of it as, instead of thinking of it as cold water, you could think of it as, oh, this is a change in temperature. And then a change in temperature is just an observation instead of I have to physically respond to it. So that's one way that would be just changing the view. The other way was when I would experience the cold water, instead of clenching my jaw, I would open my jaw really wide, like, oh, it's really cold. So either one, when you feel cold going like, ah, is an instinctive response that changes the way I want it to, and viewing it as, oh, change in temperature, and you don't have to clench or go, ah, is changing the view.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Does that work?
Yeah, that's really good. What I love about it is that when it's instinctive, a lot of times you don't even notice it. Like he probably, before when he didn't realize that he was clenching his jaw.
I didn't notice it until I started. Yeah, until for some reason I started to realize that there was a problem there.
So sometimes we're just doing things without realizing it, and we're not even aware until it becomes
Good point,
yeah. So instinctive responses just play out almost without us noticing.
Yep.
And so this is what's so fun about this program, is that we're helping you notice when you have instinctive responses that are just playing out.
Yeah, they can't hide anymore. You're actually looking for them. You're noticing like oh, I just did that instinctive. I wasn't even realizing I did that. Yeah.
Like for me, my instinctive response was, when I was in a hurry, was just to leave things out. If I was in a hurry, it would take too much time, I thought, to put things away. And so I just would, if I was in a hurry, it was like things were just thrown. I didn't want that sweater, I throw it. I didn't put the keys back where they went. I was in a hurry, and so I just put things places because that was my instinctive response. Hurry means you can't put things where they belong. and then Jason actually told me a story about a guy in basic training who his locker was always completely neat and organized. And when they would be given a little bit of time before their inspection to clean their locker, everyone was frantic, like trying to clean it as fast as they could. And it was always a disaster because they'd only been given a very, very small amount of time whenever they went to their locker. So he asked this guy, he's like, how come your locker's clean? And what did he say?
What did he say?
He said something like, it doesn't take that much more time.
Yeah, okay, so you can either take the time when you, right before, like it's just like a wallet.
Okay.
When you go to put your money away, you can either take the time to put it in order as you put it away, and then when you open to go get it, you know exactly where it is. Or you can throw everything in, but then have to look for it. So
you're taking the time either.
Yeah, it's either at the front end or the back end, but you're taking the time.
Yeah.
And for him, it was better to take the time when he had time to carefully put the stuff in there, and then he never had to worry about where things were, and he never had to scurry before leadership showed up to take an inspection. So that one.
Yeah, so the time is going to be spent one way or the other. So where do you spend it? And we're not really talking about that. We're just using it as an example of something that you do instinctively. You're not like deciding, okay, I don't have time to put this away, I'm just going to throw it. It's just an autopilot program playing out.
What was interesting though is the qualitative difference between keeping his locker always nice and tidy and the breathing room it gave him. Like if they ever were to do an inspection when you're not there, or to suddenly open your locker, if you've been throwing all your stuff in there, and then sometimes we only had a few minutes to change, and you had to, where's my stuff, and he knew exactly where his was, because it was all nice and tightly rolled.
So he probably was saving time.
He was saving time in all kinds of places, and saving emotional,
that threat that we talked about yesterday.
Anyway, so the qualitative difference, even though you're saying the time could be on either side, it's somewhere, there was a qualitative difference to doing it the way he was doing it.
Yeah.
So that instinctive, I'm going to take the time to put it away.
Yes. Yeah. So his autopilot was taking him a place that made his life more convenient.
Yeah.
He'd made it into an instinctive response instead of sometimes in the process of changing it, like when you were doing instead of clench the teeth.
Yeah, I had to focus on it.
Yeah, it takes some mental exertion.
Right, it did it first.
And just be aware that mental exertion, it's just during the transition process.
Yep.
Then eventually it will become effortless. So any kind of changes. And that's something to keep in mind when we're doing the hero stage, because application involves a lot of change.
It does.
And a lot of conscious, this is a lot of mental effort. Like, you're burning calories, you're using energy in your brain, and realize that that's just temporary. That once you get the change, then your new instinctive response will kick in, and then you can use that to fuel your success. So it's exciting. All right, so, and then the limbic system. When we talk about the training of the limbic system when you're at a young age, we have so much we could say about that. And I don't think we've said it yet, but we're already at almost 10 minutes.
Okay, we'll bring it up another time.
So just as a question, maybe we could even bring it up on one of the lives, but the question would be, what training happened when you were very young, and then how does that impact you today in ways that you just accept as normal, natural, that's the way that it is, and it could actually be different. So that's my question.
Yeah, so if you haven't been tuning into our lives, we have moved them to Saturdays.
Oh, yeah.
And so Saturdays, 6 in Budapest time, and I don't remember what that is in New York, Eastern Standard Time. It was either 10. Anyway, we are doing lives on Saturday now, so look for us then. If you can pop onto the live at the same time we're there, that's great. We'll say hi. We can love to hear your comments, hear anything, and if not, then send us stuff in advance and we'll respond to it.
Yep. We'll look forward to seeing you there.
Okay, see
Bye,
ya.
guys.
Bye.